and this would be, I would like to request a dignitary led by Sri Ashish Kundra to digitally launch Stamp Delhi 2022. I would also like to invite Mr. Pawan Gurugupta, Director of Join India, to also join the stage.
Experiences. I used to work very much in this campus, and my nearest metro stations, as you would know, is one is Jorbagh and one is Scope Complex. And I used to spend 30 to 40 rupees after a lot of haggling on an auto rickshaw to get to the metro station, because sharing is not allowed here in this zone. So people can't, though they do it illegally. So, but I don't like sharing because that trust factor, and that's where some part of the data comes, is limited. But I used to do that, spend 30, 40 rupees, sometimes even 50 to just get to the metro station, because I live in Noida. And then of course do the two lines that I used to take. There I was spending 22 rupees for almost 20 kilometers. So for my first kilometer I used to spend 30 to 40 rupees, but for 20 kilometers I'm spending 20 to 25 rupees, and then comes my station in Noida where I used to spend 30 rupees on a cycle rickshaw. So overall, my day's expense on commute was about 100 rupees, out of which 20.
That where you will get your transportation, and third is fare. So all three things you have to solve. So buses run on two things as per us. One is reliability. When your bus will come, or when your metro will come, or where your auto or e-rickshaw or whatever is there.
Local, so say if it is a metro station, so how important is the role of involving the stakeholders, say the RWA, so the traders associations around the centers, in actually ensuring.
She's working on this, I'm not counting her vote. Anyone else physically? If buses and metro were at the same location, you just come out and immediately you're able to take, would that address last mile? How many of you believe on that? 1, 2, 3, okay, roughly 6 of you. How about fare? If we were given an option.
I work with Ola Mobility Institute. Just a quick question. I wanted to know on the data that, as you said, is crucial for especially the private players when it comes to reaching that person last mile. The point is that you have the peaks, and during the peaks it's difficult to actually find first and last mile. I've experienced this personally in Banali and a couple of other places. Even while coming here, I couldn't find any other mode to get auto rickshaw. Not through the app though, by the way. But point being that if Metro provides that data as to what is the quantum of people at different hours of the day, the private players can start working around it. That's what I wanted to check with.
The 3 C's, context, champions, and collaboration. Salim sir, with that, I know Stamp is going to attempt to do all this and bring all this together. You also laid out your vision for what you're expecting from Stamp. But institutionally, do you see anything else that needs to be enabled? And any vision on how you're thinking of working with startups and all?
And with the bus transit system, so the idea is to have a common mobility card. So that is there. Then we are working on a comprehensive mobility plan also. So that work is also going on to know the requirements. As he rightly said, we should talk about
critical elements. How do we make sure that it's economically sustainable so that we can continue with the solution? And since we had the success of Bangalore, we said we have to do this in other cities. And that's the reason why we've gone on. And we haven't just kind of done one event and one kind of publicity. We've been trying to do this and transform India's metro services by creating first and last mile mobility. This is the 7th city and the culmination of our project. We will be trying to gather all of the learnings that we've had and try to take this forward. Next slide, please. Where we do recognize, initially our thinking was just how do we look at the first mile and the last mile of the mobility, more a hardware-driven solution. If we have the hardware, we can make this work. But then we realized actually hardware is not the only thing. We have
a specific plan for older part of Delhi, which is, I think, more challenging today for people to connect to the last mile. Thank you.
Metro system in Delhi. Right now, as I live, we have covered almost 390 kilometers, where 286 stations right now, and we are further plan of extending it in phase 4 by 128 kilometers and 100 stations. So we are talking about huge numbers. We are almost carrying 6.6 million passenger journeys every day. I think this is one of the
and several districts.
let me accept that our ridership in buses is quite low, so we are looking for some solution for this, how the integration or some solution through this initiative can
to practically go anywhere within Tokyo. It was the easiest solution for a lot of people. If you wanted to take a car or want to take other modes of transportation, it ended up being far more complex. So the metro system, but very interestingly, the metro system in Tokyo is not a public metro system. It's actually a series of private companies that are all running their own lines for profit. But what they have decided to do is that rather than compete with each other, creating a collaborative system in which information is shared, payments are first aggregated and then distributed, is a far more effective way for them.
Data being the new oil, and as MNX, we want to get away from this paradigm. What is oil? Oil is a commodity that people hold, that people create barriers for. But data is not a commodity that should be hoarded, right? Data should be out there and open, should be accessible to absolutely everybody at no cost whatsoever. And all the public transit operators, most of them, be it in India or abroad, hoard data and hoard the language that allows for people to use data effectively. What I mean by that is
encourage people to apply for firms basically who work in aggregation services. So that includes aggregators who will be taking part who will be onboarding existing vehicles.
Essentially to move, to get people to live in ways that protects the Earth's environment, not only for the current needs but also for future needs. The Station Access and Mobility Program is an initiative that was that we had mentioned earlier. About 2016, we had started off with this. The Toyota Mobility Foundation spearheaded the idea. The WRI supported on how to what exactly do we need to be doing in this space. And the idea has been we need to look at the multimodal integration. The multimodal integration with the metro investments that have been with the metro infrastructure that